I'm Cass Tabor. Gabe and I went to high school together and played soccer together. When I think about Gabe, I remember my first day of high school at Hadashay. I just transferred in, and everyone was very kind, but it's a very small community, and so it was very hard to break in. And I remember the first day of school, no one talked to me, and I was sitting on a hill waiting for my ride for my parents to come and pick me up, and thinking that this was the worst decision that I'd ever made. And Gabe came over and just sat next to me and didn't really say much for a while, and then just asked me about myself and was very friendly and sat with me, and I just figured he was waiting for a ride as well, and he sat with me until my parents got there. And then I found out shortly afterwards that he just lived down the street. So extremely kind person, someone who definitely takes time to get to know other people and make them feel valuable. But more so, I remember Gabe as being extremely funny. When we played soccer, we were both on the defensive side of the team, and he used to do this hysterical Superman impression because oftentimes on defense you don't have a lot to do. And he would do this Superman impression and try to get everyone else on our side of the team to do this Superman impression to try to intimidate the other players, which did not work very well at all. But it was kind of a running joke that he and I had. And so when I went off to college, Gabe used to come down and visit me quite a bit, off and on, just to hang out on campus. But every time I would go home for a break or for a holiday, I would drive the hour and a half home, and I'd pull into my driveway, and there Gabe would be standing like Superman, ready to greet me and welcome me home. So hysterically funny, very, very kind, and someone that I missed very much.
My name's Paul.mov, and I was a friend of Gabe's back in high school and knew him from 9th grade and on throughout his life. I guess one thing, there's a few things that I appreciated about Gabe. I love him, miss him dearly. Life just won't be the same knowing that he's not there. When you were around Gabe, when we were around him, I guess one thing that I really remember as I think back is it was a peaceful person. You could really just have peace with him and relax. He was very relaxed, and when you were around him, it was contagious, and so it was never very stressful to be around Gabe, which was always, that was a nice thing. And then the other thing is he was just very fun-loving. He loved to do fun things, whether it was showing off some of the new things he was doing when he first started driving. I remember when we were very jealous because Gabe was the first one to start driving when he turned 16. And I remember he thought that was pretty neat and that he started first. And he drove me down once to the lake and showed me that he could squeal the tires on the Ford Tempo that he would drive around as his first car. And for some reason he felt like he had to have the front tires in the lake water when he did that. He thought that was pretty cool. But he just always was doing fun, crazy things like that. And I have a lot of memories. He was part of my life during a very important part of one's life when you're at your high school years, and I am very grateful that he was there with me during that time. We did lots of things. I remember annoying him. One time he had a red wagon, we took it to a hill and we're riding it down the hill, and the red wagon broke, and it was at the bottom of the hill broken, and we decided that we were done and started walking back up the hill. And I think since it was my idea that we were riding the wagon down the hill, he thought that I should be the one to carry it home, and that was probably the worst fight I had with Gabe about the red wagon. But it wasn't anything that obviously lasted at all. We kind of looked back and laughed about it throughout the years. One thing about my friendship with Gabe was that, and I told him this, it didn't seem to matter how much time would pass between when we had talked or when we had last seen each other. When we when we finally met back up, it was like you were just as close as ever. You're a very precious person to me, and I will always miss him. And so, old Gabe he always had, like I said, he was fun-loving, and he always seemed to have a different kind of fun hairdo to show off. He had perms, he had American flags shaved in the back of his head and dyed in. It was always something, and he kind of liked a little bit of flair with stuff like that. Tattoos and piercings, he was always the one to go and do that kind of stuff, and I always thought that was cool. I never really had the, whatever courage to do all that stuff or desire to do it, but he always kind of enjoyed that, and he was a very adventure-loving person. He loved the outdoors, the mountains, and I'm sure other people have said stuff about that, but we just had a good time in high school.